Okay, let's dive right into this explainer, because today we are unpacking a truly fascinating subject. We're going to explore the spiritual wonders of the Anuttara Dharma, which is often translated as the unsurpassed ultimate truth. Specifically, we're focusing on the profound underlying mechanics of the Dao Receiving Ceremony. Now, based on the esoteric texts from this tradition, this ceremony is definitely not just your average everyday ritual. It's actually described as a literal metaphysical intervention. So we're going to break down the exact steps, the deep philosophy behind it, and what these ancient texts claim actually happens to a person's soul during the whole process.
To really understand why this ceremony even exists in the first place, we actually have to start right here with this concept. Humans fear death, but ghosts fear birth. Think about that for a second. This incredibly striking quote from the source material perfectly frames our core existential dilemma. According to these teachings, when humans die, they become spirits or ghosts, who then absolutely dread being pulled back into the physical world through birth. So it's essentially this endless, inescapable loop of birth and death filled with anxiety at literally every single transition.
So, to understand how this ceremony claims to solve that massive dilemma, we'll walk through these 6 key concepts outlined in the texts: the cycle of reincarnation, the meaning of receiving Tao, the sacred guarantor, the 4 stages of awakening, the one-pointing, and finally, the ultimate transformation.
All right, part 1, the cycle of reincarnation.
The texts explain that for over 60,000 years, just try to wrap your head around that timeline, our true spiritual nature has been completely trapped. We've been bound to the 4 forms of birth, mammals, birds, fish, and insects, as well as the 6 realms of existence, which range all the way from heavenly beings down to hungry ghosts. And the problem is, every single time we reincarnate, our original pure Buddha nature gets more and more clouded by ignorance, desires, and our own karma. Because of this, existence inherently equals suffering, which is a concept known as samsara. We are essentially walking around wearing a false physical shell, completely disconnected from our divine origin.
Moving on to part 2, meaning of receiving Tao.
The core purpose of receiving the Tao is often symbolized beautifully by a lotus flower held in a hand. It represents an awakening of inner wisdom and a return to our original pure spiritual roots. Basically, it's about blossoming right out of the muddy waters of the mundane world, entirely unstained.
And according to the tradition, this ceremony isn't just a nice symbolic gesture. It's pitched as a direct intervention offering 4 huge transformative benefits. It claims to open your innate Buddha wisdom, fundamentally alter your karmic destiny, which is a real game changer, allow you to finally escape that 60,000-year cycle of birth and death, and as a result, completely extinguish everyday psychological suffering and worry. It's essentially described as the ultimate liberation.
Part 3, the sacred guarantor.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this specific requirement underscores just how immense the gravity of this transmission is. In a lot of major world religions, the doors are simply wide open to anyone who wants to walk in and pray. But here, no way. You actually need someone to stand up and legally, well, in a spiritual sense, vouch for you.
This guarantor has to literally pledge, completely on their own spiritual merit, that you, the seeker, are morally ready. They must confirm you have a good heart, make an honest living, and absolutely have not committed grave sins like murder. But, it's a two-way street. The guarantor is also pledging to the initiate that the Tao being transmitted is entirely authentic and backed by a true heavenly decree. We're talking about a literal divine mandate from the heavens. They are heavily vouching that this is the one Dharma to nirvana, the single, definitive path to ultimate liberation.
Section 4, 4 Stages of Awakening.
This part of the journey is defined by incredible acceleration. Ancient cultivators used to literally spend entire lifetimes meditating in remote caves just to progress through these steps, but this ceremony claims to fast-track it. You walk in with a dispersed mind, chaotic from the stresses of daily life and past karma. Through the rituals, it gathers into a collected mind. Then, as the atmosphere deepens, it settles into a deep, calm mind. And finally, right at the peak of the ceremony, it opens up into an enlightened mind.
Which brings us to part 5, the one-pointing.
So imagine being given this specific ceremonial instruction right before the peak moment. The initiate is told to focus all their attention on the central Buddha lamp. The text explained that this is specifically designed to take that newly calmed mind we just talked about and focus it entirely on the present sacred moment, forcing you to completely let go of the past and the future.
And this is exactly where the one-pointing happens.
The text describes this as a profound metaphysical transmission by an enlightened master, directly opening the spiritual door to your original Buddha mind. It's actually said that this single action mirrors the exact hidden path that all ancient Buddhists took to achieve enlightenment. It is presented as the ultimate key to unlocking your true self.
Finally, Part 6, the ultimate transformation. The sources state that at this moment, a literal cosmic administrative transfer takes place. Seriously, it's wild. Before the ceremony, your name is bound to the underworld registry, meaning you are completely subject to the 10 courts of hell, which is a complex system of karmic judgment and punishment and the endless wheel of karma. But the moment of the one pointing allegedly erases your name from that underworld registry and transfers it directly up to heaven. This cosmic paperwork shift is the exact mechanism that frees the soul.
Now, you might be wondering, how do they back up these massive metaphysical claims? Well, the tradition actually points to specific physical evidence observed after a practitioner passes away. They claim that those who have received the Tao and cultivated it will leave behind bodies that remain completely soft and supple, completely bypassing rigor mortis. They say the face remains peaceful, sometimes even smiling, and occasionally a fragrant scent just fills the room. All of this is presented as very tangible proof of a peaceful return to the heavenly realms.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, whether you view this purely as a fascinating piece of religious philosophy or as literal spiritual truth, it really leaves us with a powerful reflection. The tradition urges us to find our original, untroubled state of mind. So I want to leave you with this. What daily illusions, anxieties, and distractions are keeping your own mind dispersed today? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope this provided a clear, structured window into the profound depths of the spiritual journey.